Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I'm so happy that you are here. Today I have 8 palettes that I'm going to talk to you about. I was going to do 2 4 for 4s and I thought, you know what, let's just talk about all the palettes I used in the course of a month and see how that goes. I'm going to swatch them, I'm going to rank them, I'm going to tell you if I'm keeping them or not. So make sure you stay tuned to the end to know the ranking, but I'll let you know if I'm going to keep them or not. I have 4 that I was wearing more as like weekend fun palettes, and then 4 that were more weekday type of looks like what I'm wearing today. I got sick, so I didn't wear makeup for a couple days, so I'm catching up right now. Before I get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also don't forget to leave me a comment. Have you tried any of these palettes? Are there palettes that you would like to see me review? Let me know down below. Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you what they are first, and then I'll go through them. So I have the Zoeva Spice of Life palette. I have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Prism palette. I have the Urban Decay Born to Run palette, and then what I'm wearing today is the Buff palette from Pure Cosmetics, which is supposed to be a dupe for the Naked 3 by Urban Decay. Then I have Tickled Peach by Too Faced. I have the Urban Decay Distortion eyeshadow palette. I have Nomad Cosmetics Berlin Underground, and then the final one is Dominique Cosmetics Rustic Glam. We're going to start with Rustic Glam. Okay, so Rustic Glam, it has 12 shades in it. I had to count for a second. And there is a wide variety of shades in here. It doesn't look super cohesive. When you look at it, you have like a couple greens, you have some blues, you have some browns, you have a pink and a purple. So there is a wide range of shades in here. And there is a mix of formulas. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You have 7 mattes. You have one that's like a Toddy called it a tuxedo shade, and then you have a few glitters or shimmers. Let me swatch them and then we'll talk more. All right, so here we have them all swatched. They don't look super great. I will say swatched, I was like, oh man, they don't look super impressive. You have 2 pretty light shades that barely show up on my skin tone, and then you do have some nice mattes here though. I do like her matte formula. The pink is one of my favorites. I've used the pink a lot. I've used the purple. The purple is like an almost shimmer. It's not really a shimmer. This blackish blue one is definitely a tuxedo shade, as is this one right here. You can't even see that it has any glitter, I feel like. Now, am I keeping this palette? Yes, I'm keeping this palette because I do like, you know, this shimmer shade and this shimmer shade. The 2 true shimmer shades in here I really like. And I like the mattes. I don't wear a lot of the blues in a regular basis, like, so I could definitely make this a smaller palette and it would work just as well. I do like the formula of Dominique Cosmetics. I have a few of her palettes and I do enjoy them. Do I think this is one that you need to go out and get? No, I don't feel like it's good enough for that. I don't think it's not a super exciting palette. I did get this one on special or in a box or something like that. So I feel like that is a much better deal. I got one of her palettes at Ross for like $8 though. So if I found other palettes of hers for $8, I would definitely purchase other palettes from her and the brand, because I do enjoy them in that regard. And if you found this one for a good price, like 15 or less, I think it's definitely worth it. I don't know if I would necessarily recommend it for more than that, just because it's kind of a hard color story and it doesn't have quite as many shimmers as I would hope it would do. But I do like what is here. There's some nice warm tone looks with some, you know, green to throw in there as well. So I do like this one, but it's not a love. Next up is the Urban Decay Distortion palette. The packaging on this is so cool. I think they always do a great job with the packaging. And then inside you have 15 shades. You have a wide variety. It looks like they're all the same on the bottom, but they do have slight shifts on them. They're supposed to, like, you're supposed to put these on and then they will shift the colors. That's the whole like point of this palette. This is a palette that I found very hard to create looks with. The first day I put on the eyeshadows, I was like, this sucks. I don't like the look at all. I didn't think I looked good. I didn't think they performed well. It got a little better as I went on. All of these I've used for 4 days, and I try to use as many shades as possible. I was wearing this one in my sample Saturday video and a couple other videos I filmed yesterday. So I had like the black on yesterday, and I don't remember what all, but it was hard to get some good looks with it. I will say that. This is what they all look like swatch. So you can see how you have that top row, how there's all of that shift, and they have like it's almost like a rainbow of color right there. So there is that. Ooh, there is that, and there is a variety of shades in here. I just don't think they're the best performing shadows. There's technically like 2 mattes. This one I would say is more of a satin. The gray is more of a satin to me, and then the black's the only like true matte in here, which is, it's not like something I super enjoy. I like the shifty shades. I feel like they're nothing different than, and they don't work as good, I feel, as the Kat Von D palette, Prism palette that she did, where you had like the highlighters. Like, they're basically the same thing in here. You just have more of them than you did in that. So they're okay. This is not a palette I would recommend. I would not say to go out and get it. There's a couple shades. These ones performed pretty well, and I enjoyed those, but like the pink and the purple, I did not feel performed well at all. That's where I started. I started over there in that corner with the pink and purple and was like, you know, those colors don't leave me wrong, but look at how lackluster those colors are as it is. They just didn't pack a punch, and they didn't apply well. They just disappointing palette all around. But do I want to declutter it, or is it interesting enough that I want to keep it? We'll revisit. All right, next up we have from Nomad. This is the Berlin Underground palette. The packaging on this is so cool. I love that there's like the little punk skeletons. They're very like, I don't know, they scream like 80s punk to me. The colors are very grungy as well. This is another palette though that I have a really hard time finding cohesive looks, because there's just a lot of colors. There's one matte, that's this brown one, and then there's like a satiny green here, and then everything else is kind of shimmery. As you're gonna see, like they're the only one that really shows up. So the green shows up a little bit more matte, that brown shows up a little bit more matte, but everything else has some sheen and shimmer to it, which is not what I like in looks. I like to have kind of a variety, and so I struggled so much with this palette. Struggled trying to get cohesive eye looks, struggled finding like color combinations that looked okay on my skin that I didn't feel like super awful wearing. And yeah, I struggled the whole time, and this is definitely a palette that I will be passing along, because it's just, it's not for me. There's a couple of colors that I really like I like the golds, those are nice. This is kind of a weird shifty one. It was fine. I really wanted to love this palette, and I didn't. I did not like this palette like at all. There was several palettes this go round where I was just like, I'm going to quit and not do the 4 days with it. But I persevered, and this is one. I tried as many shades as I could. I didn't like this. The formula is nice. I just wish they had, you know, like either do an all shimmer, do an all matte, or do like a mix, because this was just, it was not a good mix for me. They went on fine. They're all very soft and creamy. So nothing against the formula, just not a fan of the color story at all. The last of my more fun palettes is the Faced Tickled Peach palette. I was so excited when this came out. I searched for it. I had to ask my Sephora. I said, it says that you have it, and they went and found it in the back for me. I was so grateful for that. I love this palette. I love it. I've worn this so much. It's a great palette. There's just a lot of just neutral looks. It's pretty, it's easy. I know that the shimmers are going to look nice. I know that the mattes are going to work well with my my brushes. It's easy and fun, and it's not the most fun palette, like exciting color wise, but oh my gosh, I love this palette and definitely would recommend picking this one up. This is different quality than so many of their mini palettes. Like, they put out too many of them and there was some not great quality, but this one, this is like the old peach palette quality. Definitely good quality. We are on to the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I didn't realize I had 2 Urban Decays in here. This one was, you know, an instant hit with so many people. It has just about everything in here. There's some blues, there's some greens, there's some neutrals, there's a couple like maroons, and everything in here basically. And it was a super popular palette, and I haven't heard anything about it recently. They did like spin-off palettes of this, so I've had this forever, and it was not one that I was like super excited about. I got, you know, caught up in FOMO. That's why I ended up buying it. I think it was probably on sale at one point, because Urban Decay, everything goes at least 50% off, and I learned early on just to wait and it would go on sale. Anyway, there's 21 shades in here. I wore a sweatshirt that I can't pull my sleeves up, or else I would have them all the way down. So yeah, you got a lot of different shades in here. You have some light ones over here on the side, some very light ones that are almost very similar in nature. I mean, you can see like they just are not showing up very well. And then you have a lot of jewel tones over on this side. You have some beautiful shimmers. There is some nice shimmers. There's a lot of shimmers. And there's a lot of shimmers that I don't personally use. I don't use a lot of dark shimmers. I don't use, I use like a lot of light shimmers, and then medium tones, and then maybe a little dark in the corner, but usually a matte. I don't usually use shimmers because they're just a little harder to work with. There's some beautiful colors in here. I am very impressed with like that blue over here. I don't remember wearing that one. I do know that I struggled having looks with this one, just that felt work appropriate. Like, this felt a little more adventurous than what I normally do for work, and this I'd pulled for a work palette. So I did struggle with that. You know, I think if you wear more colorful eyeshadow to work, you would probably have a much easier time with this. I think this is a nice palette. I think the quality of it is nice. There's a couple shades. This shade right here is super like dry and scratchy, as is this one. The rest of the mattes are, you know, your pretty typical matte formula, not scratchy. The shimmers do have a nice punch to them. I feel like this is way better quality than the Naked palette, and this is better quality Urban Decay than the Distortion. Like, these are much they work much better, they last better, they, you know, they're just easier to work with than the Distortion palette. So I do think this one is a nice palette, and I can see why so many people loved it. It just wasn't a love for me, and it's one I'm not sure if I will keep or not. I got some decisions to make. So I can see why people really like this, but it's not my favorite palette. It's not one that I think of and I reach for a lot. Next up is the palette I am currently wearing. This is the Bear Collection from Pure Cosmetics. This came in a BoxyCharm many years ago, and then I did buy a couple more palettes from BoxyCharm's pop-up, and they're definitely dupes of the Naked palettes from Urban Decay. I like the color story on this one. I feel like the quality is fine. I have not been impressed with the Naked palettes, to be honest. I had the cherry one and the heat, and actually I think heat is going to be in my next palette roundup. So yeah, they're fine. I don't think they're as good of quality as people think they are. I struggle with them. I don't like how they perform or how they look on my eyes. Like, they're not for me. So that being said, this eye look, I have like this shade in the crease, and then I put like, I don't know, one of these darker ones in the outer corner, and then I had this one shimmer. I think this is an okay palette. There are some pretty shades in here. if you want something really light and easy for work, that's what this palette is. It's pretty color story. I like this tone, slightly cool tone, but also slightly peachy, pinky shades. The shimmers are my favorites. So I like these two shimmers here. And then there's a couple over here that are fine. Do I think this is a great palette? No, this is not a great palette. Am I keeping it? Yes, because I feel like it's one that I can use for work occasionally, but I don't think it's great quality. I don't know if it's any better or worse than the Naked palette, the rose gold palette, but yeah, it's okay. I'm keeping it, but it's not one I would recommend. Okay, number 7. Oh my gosh. This was too many palettes. So we have Zoeva Spice of Life coming up next. This is a nice warm palette. So you have 10 shades, you have 4 mattes and 6 shimmers. Pretty good breakdown, I feel. And you have some lighter, mid-tone and a darker. You have a good mix of shades in here. This is what it looks like. This shimmer is so gorgeous. I love that shimmer. Actually, all of the shimmers and the mattes in this are really nice. I feel like the quality is really good. They're soft, they're blendable, but they don't last as well as I would like them to. I feel like once I spray setting spray on, they dull a little bit, the shimmers, but I do like this palette and I will be keeping this palette. I think it's a nice one. It's my favorite of the Zoevas that I've had, so I think it's pretty nice. Is it the best palette ever? No. But I think it's a good one. And if you're looking for a Zoeva, I feel like this is a pretty good quality one. All right, last palette. This has been a lot. I was going to film another video after this, but that's not going to happen now because, yeah, I've been here way too long and the daylight's going. So last palette is Prism palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills, or ABH. This has come back a couple times. They've done some different things. I love that their palettes you can fold it back. That's just so nice. This is an interesting palette. There are some darker shades in here. There's that one pop of neon yellow, which it doesn't really go with the rest of it, but there are some nice shades in here. I like Dimension is a nice one, and I like, their mattes. These are a drier formula. I think if you're familiar with ABH, you're probably familiar with this formula. This seems pretty typical to me, other than Subculture. That seemed to be the outlier. There's some nice shades in here. It's kind of all over the palette. I could do without the black. I could do without the hot green or hot yellow or whatever. I don't know what to do with that one. What do I do with that shade? How do I integrate that into other things? But that purple shade at the top is so beautiful. I really like that. I do like this shade, Lucid. It's one of those kind of toppery shades. There's a couple other shimmers in there that are very nice. I did use, I think, a little bit of Throne, which is that green, and a little bit of Osiris, in the outer corner for work. And they were okay. They were a little out of my comfort zone, but I think this is a pretty nice palette. It's not my favorite ABH palette by any means, but I don't think it's a terrible palette. And if you missed it, I don't think you missed out on anything. But I do like ABH formulas until they just jumped the shark and did too many palettes, and then I kind of lost interest. We're going to go through them. I'm going to rank them from number 8 to number 1. I'm going to tell you if I'm going to declutter them or not. I mean, I've kind of hinted at that for a couple of them, but there's a couple that I need to make decisions on. So number 8, before I start, if you think you know what order I'm going to put them in, what my number 1, what my number 8 is going to be, let me know down below what you think my order might be. Yeah, let me know. So in 8th place, I'm going to put the Distortion palette from Urban Decay. I don't love the formula. I feel like this is not their really good Urban Decay formula. So this is definitely going to be, this is more, it's not quite naked quality, but it's more naked quality than some of their other quality, which I don't like their naked quality from what I've tried. So 8 is Distortion from Urban Decay. You know what? Even though this is pretty, even though this is unusual, I am going to pass this one along because I don't see myself reaching for it again. So you know what? That one's going to go. This next one I am going to keep, but I don't feel like it's slightly better quality and it's more versatile, but I don't feel like it's a great palette either. And that is the Buff Collection from Pure Cosmetics. It's nice. It's fine. It's, you know, I'm wearing it today and it looks okay. This is kind of not my favorite eye look, but yeah, I was trying to use different shades that I hadn't tried yet. 7th place, not my favorite. Wouldn't say to go out and get it either, but I am keeping it. 6th place is Rustic Glam by Dominique Cosmetics. I'm putting this one here because I feel like the formulas are good. It's a little bit harder of a palette to get cohesive looks from. I don't think it's the best, and I feel like there's a couple other palettes in this lineup that are just a little bit easier to work with and create looks with. So I do like this one and I am keeping it, but it is in 6th place. 5th place is the Nomad Cosmetics Berlin Underground. I think this is a good formula. I like the formula. I love the look of the palette. I don't like the colors. They're not for me. I think the colors, like the shadows, worked nicely, but not a palette for me. So that's why it's in the middle. Yeah, 5th place. We're to the top half. In 4th place, I'm going to put Zoeva Spice of Life. I think this is a pretty nice palette. There are some pretty shimmers in it. It doesn't last quite as long as I would like it to, but I feel like the mattes were easy to work with, and I wasn't like struggling to create looks or worried about my looks throughout the day. So that is why it's in 4th place. And yes, I am keeping it. In 3rd place, I'm going to put the Prism palette by ABH. I'm putting this one here because I like it. I think this is a nice formula, but it's not the most cohesive look or palette. There's some shades that I will get a lot of use out of, and then some that I don't, and I never reach into. So it's about a 50-50 palette for me. I am definitely keeping it though, because there are some beautiful shades that I love that I will wear a lot. Like this type of shade is me shade all the way. So yes, wouldn't recommend going out and purchasing it, but I am keeping it. Next up we have, in 2nd place, I'm putting the Urban Decay Born to Run. I think the quality of this is pretty good. Like I said, there was those 2 shades that were scratchy that I didn't really enjoy. But the color story to me is it's not my favorite. So that's, I think it's nice. I think it's versatile. There's a lot of shades that I haven't even tried on my eyes because there's so many shades in here. It has 21 shades. So I think it's a good one, and I can see why it was really popular. It's not my favorite. It's not my favorite. My gut is telling me I should keep it because I should try to wear it some more. But I'm also like, I have so many palettes and I don't love it. Why do I want to force myself to wear it? I'm going to declutter it. Oh, that one hurts because this one, you know, kind of an expensive palette. So yes, I'm decluttering that one as well. Which means in 1st place is my Tickled Peach palette from Too Faced. I love this one. I mentioned how much I love it. You can tell that I've worn it quite a bit, that it has gotten some use over the years, and I like this one because it's compact. It's, you know, easy eye looks. You got some pretty colors in there. This is a good work palette for me, in all honesty, even though I was wearing it like on the weekends. I love this palette, so it is definitely staying. It is definitely my number 1. Yeah, Tickled Peach by Too Faced. I love it, and if you find it, I would say get this one because it's a good one. So I decluttered 3 of 8. Not too bad. The Born to Run one, I still feel like I should just keep it, and that's stupid. Like, I shouldn't keep it just to keep it, because I feel like I should use it more. The other 2 I know, like, just they weren't for me. So let me know if you would have kept the Urban Decay Born to Run or not. Let me know if you've had any of these palettes and what your thoughts are on them. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to talk to you next time. Bye.